Welcome to the Heartbreak to Happiness Show with Sara Davison. If you're struggling with a breakup and you feel shocked, angry, betrayed, devastated, or sad and alone, then this podcast is for you. Best-selling author and award-winning host Sara Davison shares how you too can get on with your life to heal, grow, and move from heartbreak to happiness. Here's your host, Sara Davison.
Welcome back to the show. And today, my guest is Dr. Vicki Matthews. Dr. Vicki is a naturopathic physician and outspoken voice for alternative healing and change. Vicki has appeared on Oprah Show twice and is the author of award-winning novel, The Goddess Letters, which addresses cultural imbalances in our world. So I am super excited to welcome Dr. Vicki Matthews to the show. Welcome, Vicki.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
I'm very excited that you're here because I know this is going to be such fun information for people listening. They're going to learn so much from you today. So first of all, please just put us in the picture about how you came to do the incredible work that you're doing.
Well, I learned from myself, basically. Isn't that the way most knowledge is? We learn by doing. My husband and I, we graduated from college, we moved, and we got married all on the same weekend. So, wow. Yes, well, our friends were all there and everybody's going to leave because everybody graduated, so we wanted everybody to be there. So madly in love, he proposed on our second date. So it was like oh my gosh, it's you, wonderful. Young, very young. We were very young. So 2 weeks later, after our wedding, we're driving to California. We met and married in Chicago, and we hit the Mojave Desert. I don't know about you, but if you've ever seen the Mojave Desert, or really any desert, think Sahara, it's rocks and sand. There's nothing else. And my husband drove the speed limit. And I looked at him and I said, "Can we speed this up?" And he looked back at me like I had four heads and said, "We're going the speed limit." And at that moment, I thought, oh my God, what have I done? I love this guy. I am not sure I like him. And that was the beginning of my quest to understand people better. The good news is, after my college degree, I went on and got a degree in naturopathy, naturopathic medicine. And in there, we studied all different kinds of traditions, the Chinese medicine tradition, Ayurvedic medicine, Western medicine. And in Chinese medicine, there is a model that the Chinese have used for millennia for healing the body called the 5-element model. And it describes everything. It describes 5 phases of a cycle. And in that cycle, I saw our personalities. And so there are 5 elements: water, wood, fire, earth, metal. And each of us has a personality that relates to one of those. We carry those in us energetically. That's why acupuncture works, is that there's an energetic vibration, if you will, that is water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. But they impact our personality. And so there is a water personality, a wood personality, fire, earth, and metal personalities, and they all excel at certain things and they suck at certain things. And so if we can understand that about ourselves, and then about the people we're relating to, we will understand them better and what our high points will be and the areas to avoid in the relationship. And it worked with my marriage. I mean, we've been married a really long time now, and I understand him. I appreciate what he brings. He's a metally personality, so that's kind of very strict and structured and follow the rules, which I so am not. But there are times where his wisdom to follow the rules have saved me a lot of problems. So it's been, and I would say that I started using this a lot with people in my practice as a naturopath. One of the things I specialized in was cancer. And to help heal cancer, I believe you have to have emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual balance at all 4 levels. And when I started working with people at an emotional level, most of their trauma and their issues were relationship related. So we started going into, okay, how can we improve the relationships? How can we help you bring out the best of the relationship and balance the areas that aren't going so smoothly? Or in a few sad cases, how do we help you leave the relationship in a way that's good for both parties? So It really kind of was a journey. It was a journey.
Wow. I mean, I'm fascinated by this, and I know that my listeners will be as well. So, I mean, having an understanding of this will not only help us for future partners, right, but also looking back and learning lessons maybe of why some of the heartbreak has happened maybe in our lives, is maybe we just weren't appreciating the other person for who they were, really, I guess.
And even understanding. I mean, that to me, the light bulbs went on for me when I understood that. Let me just say, the 5 personality types are water. Those are kind of philosophic, creative people. They're searchers. They tend to be loners, artists. Think like Van Gogh was a water personality. And wood people are accomplishers. They're not philosophic at all. They're like, yeah, let's just get it done. So they will be business executives, pro athletes, trial lawyers, generals. Think like over here in the US, a real famous football player was Walter Payton. He kind of went out in the field and made things happen. Fire people are fun lovers. They're comedians. They love to party. They think meeting new people is the best thing on the planet. They love attention. They are totally happy getting up and talking to 10,000 people. No problem for a fire personality. Again, over here, Robin Williams was a very famous comedian person that was very fire, just, out of control fire, sort of. Then there are earth people. They are the nurturers. They are the moms. They are the cooks. Any teacher you had that you liked had a lot of earth energy in their personality. Counselors, foodies, cooks, chefs, those are all home matters to earth people. And then the last are the metal people, like my husband. They are very structured. They are usually accountants, corporate lawyers, military personnel, architects, people that like to work with detail and follow the rules. And I would never in 1,000 years have thought I would have ended up with someone like that because I so am not that way myself. But a really good example would be a couple of years into our marriage, I think it was like our second Christmas together. We had a Christmas tree, all that. And there was a wall between one room and another that I thought was really a problematic wall. And I wanted to knock that wall down the day after Christmas. And my husband looked at me and said, "Are you joking? Do you know how much dust there's going to be? Do you know what a mess? Your Christmas tree's up right next to the wall that you want to knock down. Stop. Think this through." Which we did, and we waited until at least 2 weeks after Christmas and then knocked down the wall. So my wood energy, I'm a primary wood person, of wanting to make things happen was tempered by his rational, logical, this is a stupid idea approach. And rather than get a little upset at him, which back then I did, now when he does that, I understand that he is acting in my best interest. He's bringing up issues I, in my enthusiasm for going out and getting something done, have not considered. So it's really, he's a gift. He's a real gift.
Oh, I love that. I think when you start to understand each other's communication style and that people think differently, just because we think something when we say it doesn't mean it's going to be interpreted the same way. If somebody else said it, they might have a different meaning. And I think that often does cause conflict in relationships.
Oh, it totally causes conflict. I mean, I would say, honestly, at the root of every relationship problem is a lack of understanding. And again, using my marriage as an example, metal people look back on a cycle. They are great historians. They can say this happened, that happened. Here's why. They can analyze. They're great at that. So they're backward thinking. In fact, if you want to ask a metal person where they want to be in 10 years, they will look at you blankly. But if you say 10 years from now, what would you like to have accomplished? They can think that way because they look back and think. Whereas wood people look forward. We're the planners. So we have some very interesting discussions. I'm looking forward. He's looking back. Ideally, he's bringing up wisdom from the past. I'm bringing up great ideas for the future. And as long as we understand that, I mean, again, it all comes down to understanding each other.
Is there any sort of coupling of those that works better together? If you're the same sign, or is it the same sort of, I don't know.
Elemental personality? They can all work. And I really, really want to reinforce that. I believe in love, love and marriage. Follow your heart. If you're in love with someone, you're in love with someone. Nothing you do or say is going to talk you out of that. But if you understand what you're getting yourself into, then I think every relationship can work. There will be highs and lows. For example, in my situation, a metal personality married to a wood personality. In nature, metal chops wood. So that could feel really restrictive to me. In nature, water feeds wood. So you might think, oh, she'd be much happier with a water personality. But the lack of structure in a water personality will drive me crazy. And too much water rots wood. So look at water and fire. water puts out fire. So you'd think a fire-water relationship would be problematic, but fire can burn itself out. So a lot of fire people end up with water people because it helps temper them. So I truly believe we can make any relationship we want to work, but we have to understand whether that's a romantic relationship, whether that's a parenting relationship, whether that's a business relationship. If we understand where each other is coming from, we can honor the strength, try and ignore the weakness, and work together.
I love that. I mean,
it's especially good in parenting.
In parenting, as explain what you mean by that.
Well, I'm thinking of one of my clients that I worked with that was a guy who had been a football star in high school and college, and he had a son, and he was so excited. He couldn't wait till the kid was old enough to hold football, and he came in and we talked because his son did not want to play with a football. He wanted a camera. He wanted to be creative, and this dad came in. He said, "Am I raising a wimp? What's the problem here? Toughen him up. Do something with him. It's his problem. He doesn't want to play football." And what I explained was, yes, you're a wood, and this is a value to you, is that accomplishment, make that score, make that team win. Your son is a water. He's an artist. He's a sweet inner focused soul. He's got creativity up the wazoo. He's a great person. He's just not a mini you. So play to his strengths. His strengths are going to be artistic, and he ended up, as I said, he wanted a camera, and he's a professional photographer now.
No.
So, and the family came to a place of peace because the dad realized his son had to be who he was. And he was a water personality that was very creative and imaginative. Imagination, hope, trust, faith, all those sit in the water element.
I love that. I mean, being free to be who you are is
Exactly.
key to success in a relationship, I think. Once
Yes.
you start conforming to meet other people's expectations or rules, even that then curtails who you truly are, and then I think you're into trouble. Would you agree
You're
with
into
that?
trouble. Exactly. And I think whether someone is coming to when I work with relationships, people usually have misunderstandings. I mean, any kind of regular relationship counseling, there will certainly be miscommunications, but it always seems to come down to helping them understand each other. When the light bulbs go on, I always say the marriage can go on, because understanding is key. And when a marriage ends or a relationship ends, it's a sad time. It's a difficult time. Yes, it's heartbreak. But if we take the time to look at what didn't work, did you not understand that he was going to be traveling half the time because that was what his job was? Or he's a professional football player and he's going to be on the road half the time, or whatever it is. She owns her own business. She's a chef. She's going to be at the restaurant a lot. So if we understand what their priorities for themselves are and how that impacts us, as I said in my book, you can get along with anyone, anytime, any place.
And when we were talking earlier, you mentioned control cycle. Can you tell us a little bit about what you mean by
so the 5-element model, as I said, is millennia old, and it's basically a big circle with a 5-pointed star drawn inside the circle, and every place one of those 5 points touches is an elemental location. And it follows the seasons. And again, if people get my book, there is a drawing of the model on the back of it. So it's a very, very common model. And it follows the seasons. Water relates to winter. That's when everything is inner-directed, quiet. That's why water people can look inside and be very creative and inventive and imaginative. They have imagination, hope, trust, faith in the beginning, all sit in water. And then seasonally, we flow from winter into spring. That's when there's all this energy, buds burst out through the bark of a tree to bloom, and baby animals are born, and it's, everything starts coming to the surface, and there's activity and joy. And that is the wood energy. Make something happen. Wood people, I always say, if you want something done, give it to a wood. Wood people are the achievers, the accomplishers, because they can see the future. They can see the path, how to make something happen. Then right after spring, we have summer. That's fire. Everybody's outside having fun, enjoying. We're more playful during the summer. We hang out with friends more. We meet new friends. Oh, look, let me introduce you to so-and-so. Isn't this fun? Fire people love that. So someone with a primary fire personality will love those kinds of engagements. But remember, we have all 5 of them in us, so we can draw on it. No one would mistake me for a primary fire. But if I teach to a large group, I'm suddenly pretty fiery. So the next is we're going to skip a circle and go to the bottom of the star, which is metal, and that's autumn. That's where the world starts moving in, withdrawing from outer activities, and it's autumn. And one of the things that metal people excel at is what's worth keeping. Metal is where we decide what do we keep and move into the next cycle with, going right next into water. What do we want to let go of? And so it's like I say, when you finish gardening, you keep the zucchini, but you get rid of the zucchini vine. It's that kind of sorting and decision making. And metal people excel at that. They're very analytical. And the one right before metal is earth energy, and that is the solstices, the equinoxes, the balance time. The core tenet of earth is balance. So, and that's where home and family and food and connections, all of those sit in earth energy. And those are of paramount importance to someone that has a primary earth personality. They're what they live for, really. I mean, people that are excellent moms or dads usually have a lot of earth energy. One of the main reasons that my husband and I have been married so long is that while my primary elemental personality might be wood and his might be metal, both of us have very strong secondary personalities that sit in earth. So we have learned to connect at our earth energy and not so much at the at the wood and metal, even though we both use those for our professionals. Yeah. But for our relationship, we stay in the earth. So it's we have all of them. We can always, you can look at a business executive that's female. She's tough. She makes hardcore decisions. She does everything, and she gets home, and mommy's home. How are you today? And she's stepped into her earth to relate to her children. So we do that without even thinking about it.
Hi, it's Sara Davison here, the divorce coach. I hope you're enjoying this episode of Heartbreak to Happiness. I just wanted to let you know about a free gift I've got for you, which I know will help you if you're struggling with your breakup or divorce right now. I'd like to offer you a free week's membership of my Heartbreak to Happiness online support group sessions with unlimited access to any of the groups during this time. So what are they? Well, these are friendly and confidential online support groups run by my accredited coaches. I've designed them to ensure that you know you're not alone and there is help and support out there to help you cope better. One delegate, Jane, said after her first session, "I can't believe how much better I feel in just 1 hour." Another delegate, Wendy, said, "My friends and family are so fed up of hearing me talk about this, and now I finally feel like I've found my tribe." I've designed these sessions so you'll meet other people going through similar situations, and you'll be able to share your story in a safe space. My specialist coaches are all trained personally by me and are there to offer support and help to enable you to dial down those negative emotions and let go of your ex. So I wanted to make a special offer to all my podcast listeners, which is a 3 weeks access to this unique support. It means that you will have access to as many support sessions as you would like to attend in a week. And we've got lots of days and different times to choose from. This is a great way to start to take your power back and help you feel more empowered. Remember, as I always say, it's not what happens to you that defines you, it's what you do about it that makes you the person you are. So sign up now at www.saradavison.com/support group. That's saradavison.com/support group to claim your free gift and to move from your heartbreak to happiness. That's that's really interesting, because I'm thinking, well, what am I here? And as you're going through the list, I'm thinking, well, I'll definitely get things done. Definitely do.
Yes.
But, you know, I definitely feel that Earth might be in there too. Well, it is. But how would you work out your primary then? Because I would say I'm pretty balanced, if not that description you just had just now.
There's two ways to do it. One of them is just, I mean, I can tell you based on what your profession is, what you probably are, and that you probably do have a good, strong secondary earth. But on my website, I have a quiz people can take that will help them determine their first, second, third, fourth, and fifth elements, how they stack up in their personality, so that they'll know, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense, I'm a wood, or oh wow, I'm a fire. I guess maybe it's okay that I'm loud and boisterous at parties. It's always okay to be who we are. It's more about the understanding. Let's understand who each other is, and then it's much easier to get along.
Okay.
So my website is drvickimatthews.com. drvickimatthews.com.
Yeah, and I think it's great to go over and do that quiz. You said you could tell what mine was from my profession.
Yeah, you're a wood.
Okay.
Yeah, because think about it, woods are outgoing, and to sit and talk to people you don't know and to be able to have a good conversation with them and draw out, you've got a mission and you're focused on it and you're really good at doing it. But you also do have a secondary earth. You're wired a lot like I am, actually. So you can be caring and sweet and supportive, but you're always going to stay on task.
Yes, that is it to a T. Yes. Well, there you go. And that description of coming home and mommy's home, that's exactly me too, and my puppy too. So yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Pets. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And understanding that can make a big difference, not only in how you relate to yourself, which is important. I mean, that's our primary relationship, is with ourselves, but how you relate to other people. I mean, don't expect a really strong metal personality to be inventive or creative or want to paint or that kind of a thing, because they're looking back at what worked and helping us decide what to take forward. They're not taking anything forward. And don't ask a water personality to be at work on time. It's like, time is guidelines, really. It's not really anything set in stone. We'll be there around 8 o'clock, maybe ish. And they'll get lost in a book and completely space something out totally.
Wow.
So and that's why so many of the people that I've worked with, they would be complaining about their husband. A woman I worked with, I'm thinking of, really was her. She could not understand why her husband couldn't be somewhere on time. Well, he was an artist. He would get, the muses would take over, and it would be, oh my God, it's an hour later than I thought it was, but look at how much I got done on my painting, or look at the beautiful pot I just threw. And once we adjusted her expectations that he was not going to be a metal, he wasn't going to be there on time every time, no matter what. He was, part of what she loved about him was the go with the flow attitude he had. And so with every different elemental personality, there are gifts and there are things you just have to kind of live with. But when you understand it, that's why I keep coming back to understanding. I can understand my husband so much better, and our relationship is so much stronger when it's like, okay, yes, the detail matters to him. He'll put 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle together. I look at it and run screaming from the room. It's just like, forget it.
Sounds like me.
Yep.
Yeah. I think this is great. So for people listening right now who have maybe been through a tough breakup and maybe looking back and see that where maybe there were issues and challenges that maybe they didn't appreciate, how do we use this going forward? When you're on a date, how do you bring this up, or how can you pick up on what somebody actually is?
First and foremost, it all comes down to understanding, and you need to understand yourself. Understand yourself first. Then you know what matters to you. You may take a quiz and say, oh, well, yes, so that totally matters to me. But if you look at patterns, you'll understand, like for an earth personality, the sacredness of the home, keeping the knickknacks people you love gave you around because it reminds you of them. A metal person who loves streamlined, modern, no clutter, that's not going to be an easy match in a house because they're going to want different things. I have couples where it's, okay, this room is yours. You can put all the knickknacks you want. That room, the den is his with the stereo and the big TV and all that. That's his. He's not going to have knickknacks in there, and that's going to be okay. So it's, for anybody going through a breakup though, I really encourage you, first and foremost, sit down and decide, what are my priorities? What matters to me? What didn't work about this? Even if it wasn't your choice to end the relationship ended because it didn't work for one or both people. So just understanding starts the healing process from my perspective. You can't heal if you're constantly just tearing off the scab and going, oh my God, what happened? Oh my God, what happened? Take what happened, look at it, understand it from your perspective. If you hate the guts of the person that dumped you, don't worry about them. They're gone. Or maybe you're an analytical person and need to understand why it didn't work from their perspective too. Do that. And one of the things about my book is every possible relationship combination: water with wood, water with fire, water with another water. They may never see each other because they'll both be in other rooms painting. But there are the highs and lows of every relationship and what to do if there starts to be bumpy times. So again, my book is geared toward understanding. And when a relationship ends, sit quietly and understand what ended. Why did it end? And yes, you're sad, but maybe there's a good reason for it. And so I start with understanding yourself first, and then you can understand the person and why maybe if they left you, they didn't want to be home with the family every night, or they didn't want to go mountain climbing like woods want to do. It's that's why I think it's so important to understand yourself and the person you're relating to, because then you can work around the problems and build on the strengths. Every relationship has a strength. Everyone.
And it has to be a two-way thing, right? Because obviously a lot of people listening may be coming out of toxic relationships, abusive relationships, and understanding and trying to work around that person isn't going to be the healthy option for them. So how does that work?
There's a couple ways to approach it. It depends on what their primary elemental personality is. A fire person can simply let go. They can, and a water too. It's like, okay, fine, they're dead to me. They're in the past, never going to talk about it again. An earth personality won't be able to do that. They're going to need to spend a little bit of time looking back and saying, okay, I can see where maybe this wasn't a good match to begin with, or I can see where when the jerk started cheating on me, that wasn't going to work for me. It's easier to understand, to let go of something you understand than to let go of something you don't understand. So a little bit of postmortem, if you will, and then build on your strengths. If you're an earth personality, take a cooking class, meet someone there. If you're a fire personality, ask your friends to take you with them different places so you can meet people. And if you have children, help them understand. It's a huge parenting tool to understand, like I said, the dad that finally got that his kid really wasn't going to be a football star. It changed how he parented. It really changed. And I had a mom I worked with who was a wonderful cook. She was an earth personality. And her daughter wanted to hang out with her friends. She could care less about cooking. She didn't want to learn the family's secret spaghetti sauce. It's like, no, I want to go with Bertha. So the mom had to learn, this is a little fire I'm raising. And bless you on that. Raising fire children is an adventure in itself. It's really amazing. But it's also, as a parent, if you know you're raising a little fire, don't throw a surprise birthday party for them that involves scuba diving. That's not, have a big party, invite all her friends. That's going to appeal and meet the needs of a fire. So it really improves our parenting to understand how we approach parenting and understand our children. And it improves our relationships. I know Mark sits on my control cycle. Sometimes I don't think that's a good idea, is going to be like a wet blanket on my wood. Let's go do this. Let's make this happen. Oh, we can knock that wall out. But oh my gosh, he has saved me so many times from getting carried away and going off without thoroughly realizing what I'm getting myself into. So build on the strengths.
Yeah, I love that, building on strengths, because I think, in order to truly have a successful relationship, whether it's with a child or a friend, someone you work with, your partner, it's about appreciating them for who they truly are, not who you would like them to be and who you could sort of mold them into being if you spend more time with them, which quite often happens on the dating scene. You sort of think, oh, well, I see this with my clients. Well, I've met this guy. There's a few things here that I don't like, but, if I can change that, we'll be fine.
No. But if you can understand it, and I'm telling you again, if you can understand why he does what he does or why that matters, you can work with it. And that's, again, something that I felt was really important for every possible combination. Because yes, you may be married. I may be married to a metal, but I have friends that are earths. How does that work? I'll feel controlling to them because wood controls earth. Wood, tree roots anchor earth. So how do I make sure those relationships stay good? And what are the strengths? What are the highs and what are the lows? What are the topics to avoid? Things like that. So it's really, the understanding can open so many doors. And even if, I remember working with someone I absolutely could not stand. But I realized, okay, they are simply being a water. And too much water rots wood. So I can appreciate them for their creativity and their imagination and their bright ideas, that then they say, okay, fine, there was my idea, you go make it happen. It's like, well, how fair is that? Fairness matters to woods. But I really started seeing, here are the highs of this person. Here are the gifts this person brings this world. And I honor them for that. I may not want them in my life. I may want them in my life once a month. They may never be my true best friend, but it really changed how I looked at people. And again, for partners, Cupid has something to say. If you fall in love, you fall in love. But understand what you're getting into and how to make it work, how to make it the best it can be. Every relationship can work.
Yeah, I love that. I think also by understanding this, it takes away the sort of personal side of it. You're not taking it as a personal insult or somebody's doing something at you. It helps you dial down that intensity, right?
It really does. And it helps you focus on the dynamics between you. You are a perfect person. They are a perfect person. They are, who they came to be, manifesting themselves. What are the dynamics between you? And can you work with those? There'll be highs and there'll be lows.
Fascinating. I love this. I love it. So for people to find out more about you, Vicki, where can they go? Where can they follow you and find out more?
Okay. As I said, my website is Dr. DrVickiMatthews.com, drvickimatthews.com. And if they're interested in what their elemental personality is, there's a quiz there. Where I am, what I'm doing and speaking is there. And I'm also on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook, and Dr. Vicki Matthews on Facebook. So, and I do post. I'm pretty good on Facebook. I'm pretty regular on Facebook, posting about elemental personalities and with cute pictures, with cute puppies.
Oh,
I love animals. So.
Well, that brings me on to my next question, actually. My final question I ask all my guests. My podcast is called Heartbreak to Happiness, and I think it's really important to know what happiness is for you so that you can tap into it along the way, even when you're having one of those tough days. Yes. So what is happiness for you, Vicki?
Happiness for me, I'm going to go back into my wood personality. Happiness for me is accomplishing something. To be able to, how people make lists, to be able to cross something off a list is happiness, because that says I have made something happen. Happiness for a water, by the way, would probably be someone leaving them alone so that they can read a book or paint a picture. Happiness for an earth would be the family all gathered around the dinner table. Happiness for fire is a party where they meet new people. And happiness for a metal personality is being left alone so they can study.
Oh, wow. Okay. Definitely not a metal person then.
No, honey, no. Neither am I.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much. I think what you shared has been absolutely fascinating. And I know it all have resonated so much with people listening. So thank you, Vicki, for joining me and for being a fabulous guest.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
That's it for today's episode. Do head on over to www.drvickimatthews.com and take the quiz to find out what personality type you are. And I look forward to you joining me on my next episode.
That's it for today's episode of Heartbreak to Happiness. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review to win a free ticket to one of Sara's virtual retreats. The retreats are a transformative combination of live webinars with Sara herself, coupled with empowering online video programs designed to help you cope better with your breakup and start feeling happy again. For more details, head on over to heartbreaktohappinesspodcast.com, where you can also get a copy of Sara's free gift. Thank you, and join us again on the next episode for another dose of Heartbreak to Happiness.